in the Torah of Yahuwah. But his delight is in the Torah of Yahuwah, and on his ways he meditates day and night. He meditates day and he'll be like a tree firmly planted by streams of living water, which yield a seed in its season, and its leaf does not wither, and in all he does it prospers. His delight is in the Torah of Yahweh. But his delight is in the Torah of Yahweh, and on his way he meditates day and night. He meditates day and night. But the wicked are not so. They are like the chaff which the wind blows away. And therefore the wicked shall not rise in the judgment, nor the sinners in the assembly of the righteous. For Yahuwah knows the way of the righteous. For Yahuwah knows the way of the righteous. For Yahuwah knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish.
Welcome to Scriptural Foundations Sabbath service. We're happy to have you here sharing this time with us, this set apart time in Yahuwah's presence. Tonight we'll be covering the Torah portion, Haftarah portion, and Brit Hadashah, or Renewed Covenant portions. And then we'll go over four of our first Walking in Torah pieces. Each day I'm putting out I'm going through Matthew through Revelations, and every single passage that talks about keeping Torah or keeping the commandments, I'm putting into a meme, I guess you could say, so that you can save those and then you can present them to anybody that says that we don't have to keep Torah, because that's nonsense. We absolutely need to keep Torah. So we'll begin by doing the Sabbath blessings over the bread and the juice, and take communion and do all the blessings here. Bear with me here while I pull that up on my TV here. I have to jump back and forth because I don't have all the fancy equipment everybody else does. So here. All right, so if you go to the announcement for the Sabbath service, you'll see that there's a link in the comments. Excuse me. That link is to a Google Drive where we have copies of the Sabbath blessings and whatever we're covering in service tonight. For instance, the Torah portion. The listed scriptures are there. So if you want, you can go there and download a copy and follow along with us. And it's not cooperating, so bear with me here while I try to figure out why it's not cooperating. This is the problem with doing something like this all by yourself without any help. You're stuck doing everything. All right, so there we go. The blessings. Technology's not cooperating today. All right, the blessing of the candles. We'll get some electronic candles here eventually. But until then, we'll just read the blessing. Again, it's not the standard Hebrew blessing. We've modified it a little bit because the Hebrew blessing says that we're commanded to kindle the lights of Shabbat, which is not in Torah anywhere, so we don't want to lie. So we modified it a little bit. Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehiyot, or legoyim. V'natan lanu et Yahusha meshikenu or haolam selah. Blessed are you, Yahuwah, our Elohim, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by his commandments, commanded us to be a light unto the world, and has given unto us Yahusha, our Messiah, the light of the world. Selah. The Shabbat Shalom song. Again, welcome. Learn the songs, learn the blessings so that you can follow along wherever you're at. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. The blessing of Messiah. Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu et derek Yashua b'Mashiach Yahusha. Blessed are you, Yahuwah our Elohim, King of the universe, who has given us the way of salvation, the Messiah Yahusha. Veshamru. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. B'nei uvayan b'nei Yisrael oti leolam kishishet Ya'amin asa Yahuwah et hashamayim va'et haaretz uvayam hashavi'i shvat vayinafash. Altogether, the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath and observe the Sabbath throughout their generations as an everlasting covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he ceased from his work and rested. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, all flesh shall come to worship before me, says Yahweh. Ve'ohavta. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your might. And have these words which I command you this day be upon your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children. Speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you retire, and when you arise. You shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and let them be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Kadish. Magnified and sanctified be Yahweh's great name in the world which he has created according to his will. May he establish his kingdom during your life and during your days, and during the life of the whole house of Israel, even swiftly and soon, Selah. Let his great name be blessed forever and to all eternity. Blessed, praised, glorified, exalted, extolled, and honored, magnified, and lauded be the name of Yahuwah, the Holy One, blessed is he. Yahuwah is high above all the blessings and songs, praises and consolations which are uttered in the world, Selah. May he who makes peace in his high places make peace upon us and upon all of Israel. The Shema, so we stand and face towards Jerusalem, which is our destination, when we sing the Shema, because that's where we're going. Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchutu, Leolam Vayed. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. Blessed be his glorious name, whose kingdom is forever and ever. Selah. You may be seated. Barku. Barku et Yahuwah Hamvorak. Baruch Yahuwah Hamvorak Leolam Vayed. Blessed be Yahuwah who is to be praised. Blessed be Yahuwah who is praised for all eternity. The Mika Mocha. Mika Mocha. Ba'ilim Yahuwah, Mika Mocha, Nedar Bakodesh, Nohora Tailot, Ose Fele, Ose Fele. Who is like you, O Yah, among the gods? Who is like you? Yah, there is none else. You are awesome in praise, doing wonders, O Yah. Who is like you, O Yah? The answer is no one, not even his son. He comes the closest, but even he is not as great as his father. Blessing over the bread. Baruch atah Yahuwah, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Blessed are you, Yahuwah, our Elohim, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from out of the earth. Blessing of the juice or wine. Baruch atah Yahuwah, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Blessed are you, Yahuwah, our Elohim, King of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Selah. Now, if you'll all bear with me here as I pass out bread and juice to the people here. We use butter and honey as a tradition. Again, it's not a command. It's a tradition. We use butter and honey on our challah bread. That is because of the passage in Isaiah 7, I believe, 14 and 15, where it says that Emmanuel would eat butter and honey so that he would know to refuse the evil and choose the good. Well, we want to do that, so we want to absolutely refuse the evil and choose the good. So we do, as a tradition, we put butter and honey on our challah bread. Again, we appreciate you guys sharing this time with us, this set apart time of Yahuwah. We do ours at the end of Shabbat so that you guys have the opportunity to go watch other people's services if you'd like. We do communion here, not as the Catholics do, believing that they're drinking and eating the actual blood and body of Yahuwah, or Yahusha, excuse me. That is Catholic nonsense, and we don't follow that. That's against Torah. So we don't believe that. We're just commemorating or remembering what Yahusha did for us. So if you have bread and juice, go ahead and get your bread. We'll read in the renewed covenant where Yahusha broke bread for Pesach. 1 Corinthians 12:24 says, "And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, 'Take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do ye in remembrance of me.'" After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, "This cup is the renewed covenant in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as oft as ye eat of this bread and drink of this cup, ye do show Yahusha's death until he comes." All right. Yada Yahuwah. When we say Yada Yahuwah, we're saying praise Yahuwah in Hebrew. So now we will have a short song service. Bear with me here as I switch back and forth. It's going to be 3 songs as usual. We'll play the shofar sounding first. Our first song is Shoulders by King and Country. Oh, pardon me while I switch this so that you guys can see the lyrics. And again, I have to move back and forth because I don't have all the fancy equipment that everybody else does, but pardon me. I'll do the best I can.
look up to the mountains. Does my strength come from the mountains? No.
My strength comes from Yahuwah,
who made heaven and earth and the mountains. When confusion's my companion and despair holds me for ransom, I will feel no fear. I know that you are near.
Dwell with us, Yahuwah.
When caught deep in the valley with chaos for my company, I found my comfort here. 'Cause I know that you are near. My help comes from you. You're right here pulling me through. You carry my weakness, my sickness, my brokenness all on your shoulders. Your shoulders. My help comes from you. You are my rest, my rescue. I don't have to see to believe that you lifted me up on your shoulders. Your shoulders.
Let's go lift us up, Yahuwah.
Once was shattered, and you turn my tears to laughter. Your forgiveness is my fortress. Oh, your mercy is relentless. My help comes from you. You're right here pulling me through. You carry my weakness, my sickness, my brokenness all on your shoulders. Your shoulders. My help comes from you. You are my rest, my rescue. I don't have to see to believe that you lifted me up on your shoulders. Your shoulders. My help is from you. I see to believe. My help is from you. I see 'cause enough is enough. My help is from you. I see to believe. My help is from you. I see 'cause enough is true. My help comes from you. You're right here pulling me through. You carry my weakness, my sickness, my brokenness all on your shoulders. Your shoulders. My help comes from you. You are my rest, my rescue. No, I don't have to see to believe that you lifted me up on your shoulders. Your shoulders. My help is from you. I see to believe. My help is from you. I see 'cause I know is true. My help is from you. I see to believe. My help is from you. I see.
Praise you, Yahuwah. Glory to your name, Yahuwah. He's here for us. We have to seek him out. We have to follow him and look for him early in the morning. And then we will find him. Life Song by Casting Crowns. live a life that is beautiful to Yahuwah, that sings of his Torah and his love and kindness.
Empty hands held high, such small sacrifice, not joined with my life. I sing in vain tonight. May the words I say and the things I do make my life song sing, bring a smile to you. Let my life song sing to you. Let my life song sing to you. I wanna sign your name to the end of this day. Know that my heart was true. Let my life song sing to you. Yeah, I give my life a living sacrifice to reach a world in need, to be your hands and feet.
Jesus,
So may
Yahuwah.
the words I say and the things I do make my life song sing, bring a smile to you. Let my life song sing to you. Let my life song sing to you. I wanna sign your name to the end of this day. Knowing that my heart was true. Let my life song sing to you. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let my life song sing to you. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let my life song sing to you.
Yahusha, let my life song sing to you. The goal of our life should be living a life that's pleasing to Yahuwah. And how do we do that? By following Torah. Show him your love. If you love me, you will keep my commandments.
I die a little every day. I lose myself and that's okay. 'Cause more of you is all that I can bear. But I have days when I fall through. I feel a million miles from me. Conditions in my head, but you're still there. And I'm so in love with you. In my weakness, you have been so strong. Yeah, your love is strength alone its own. And I'm so in love with you. And I'm the man I've grown to be, but you have so much more for me. To live for you is to know just who I am. And I'm so in love with you. Yes, in my weakness, you have been so strong. Yeah, your love is strength on its own. And I'm so in love with you. Yes, I'm so in love with the way you move, the yard you are, the only one to hold my heart. Your love will never end. Your love will never end. You won't give up and won't let go. I don't need another sun to show. The cross is still enough. It will always be enough. In my weakness, you have been so strong. Yeah, your love is strength alone its own. And I'm so in love with you. Yes, I'm so in love with you. And I'm so in love with you.
Again, how do we show our love for Yahuwah? If you love me, you will keep my commandments. Period. End of story. No complaints, no arguments. If you love Yahuwah, you will keep his commandments. No exceptions. So we'll go from here and we will read our Torah portion, Haftarah, which is the prophets, and the Brit Hadashah, which is the renewed covenant. We'll read those portions today. Bear with me as I get set up on my phone here. I have to switch over again. Intend on buying a Microsoft Surface so I can do this a little more professionally, but that'll take some time. So for now, let me pull up the Torah portions for today. All right, so the Torah portion for this week is Ki Setzi, Tetzi, T-E-T-Z-E, Tetzi. Deuteronomy 21:10 through 25:19, but we'll be reading the whole chapters. The Haftarah is Isaiah 54, 1 through 10, but we'll read the whole chapter. And then the Gospel is Matthew 24, which is very fitting for what we're discussing today. So if you would turn to Deuteronomy chapter 21, and we'll read through the end of 25. So Deuteronomy 21 through 25. All right. When anyone is found slain, lying in the field in the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you to possess, and it is not known who struck him, in other words, you come across a dead body and you don't know how he died, then your elders and your judges shall go out, and they shall measure the distance from the slain man to the cities round about. It shall be that the elders of the city nearest to the slain man shall take a heifer which has not been worked and which has not been pulled with the yoke, and all the elders of that city shall bring the heifer down to a wadi with flowing water. The wadi is Hebrew for a river, which is neither plunged nor plowed nor sown, and they shall break the heifer's neck there in the wadi. And the priests and the sons of Levi shall come near, for Yahuwah your Elohim has chosen them to serve him and to bless the name of Yahuwah. And by their mouth every strife and every stroke is tried. Okay, so they were set up as judges to judge inside the bounds of Torah. The place where the Levites got in trouble is they set themselves up to judge outside of the bounds of Torah and made up their own rules, and that's what they got in trouble for. And let all the elders of that city nearest to the slain man wash their hands over the heifer whose neck was broken in the wadi. And they shall answer and say, our hands have not shed this blood, nor have our eyes seen it. O Yahuwah, forgive your people, Israel, whom you have ransomed, and do not allow innocent blood in the midst of your people Israel, and the blood guilt shall be pardoned to them. Thus you purge the guilt of innocent blood from your midst when you do what is right in the eyes of Yahuwah. Now see, one thing that brings up here is corporal punishment, right? They're sacrificing this cow to cover the guilt of a murdered person, so that the entirety of Israel doesn't bear the punishment for what one person did. Thus you shall purge the guilt of innocent blood from your midst when you do what is right in the eyes of Yahuwah. That's another thing. We're not supposed to live by what's right in our own eyes. We're supposed to live by Torah, what's right in Yahuwah's eyes. Verse 10, when you go out to fight against your enemies, and Yahuwah your Elohim shall give them into your hand, you shall take them captive, and shall see among the captives a woman fair of form, and shall delight in her and take her for your wife. Then you shall bring her home to your house, and she shall shave her head and trim her nails, and put aside the mantle of her captivity, and shall dwell in your house and mourn her father and her mother a month of days. After that you shall go into her and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. It shall come to be that if you are not pleased with her, then you shall let her go at her desire, but you shall not sell her at all for silver. Do not treat her harshly, since you have humbled her. When a man has two wives, one loved and the other unloved, okay, so pause right there. So is polygamy wrong in Scripture? No. It's wrong in our society of today. It's against the law, so we can't do it. But biblically speaking, it's not wrong. When a man has two wives, one loved and the other unloved, and they have borne him children, both loved and the unloved, the firstborn son is of her who is unloved. Then it shall be that on the day he makes his sons to inherit his possessions, he is not allowed to treat the son of the beloved wife as firstborn in the face of the son of the unloved, who was truly the firstborn. In other words, he's not allowed to give his blessing and wealth. He's not allowed to leave it to the wrong son just because it's from the one he didn't love. He can't show favoritism. That's one thing in Torah that is a big no-no, is showing favoritism. But he is to acknowledge the son of the unloved wife as the firstborn by giving him a double portion of all that he has. For he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. When a man has a wayward and rebellious son who is not listening to the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and who, when they have disciplined him, does not listen to them, then his father and his mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of the city, to the gate of the city. And they shall say to the elders of the city, the son is ours, is wayward and rebellious. He is not listening to our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. Then all the men of the city shall stone him to death with stones. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst, and let all Israel hear and fear. Okay, so are we still supposed to stone people to death? Nope. Why? Because Yahusha paid the penalty for us. He took the penalty of our sins upon himself. So we no longer have to take the penalty for our sin if you teshuvah, if you turn from that sin and ask forgiveness. So no longer are we being put to death for things like this, because we can seek forgiveness and we can change in teshuvah and become a follower of Torah. And when a man has committed a sin worthy of death, then he shall be put to death, and you shall hang him on a tree. Let his body not remain overnight on the tree, for you shall certainly bury him the same day. For he who is hanged on a tree is accursed of Elohim, so that you do not defile the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. Okay, this is a reference to Yahusha. So Yahusha being hung on that stake or cross became accursed of Elohim. It said so right there. That proves that he is not Yahuwah. That proves that Yahusha is not Yahuwah in the flesh. Can Yahuwah become accursed? Can the Almighty Creator of the universe become accursed? Absolutely not. It's impossible. He is set apart and holy. There is no way for him to ever become accursed. So how is it that Yahusha, it says right here that Yahusha was accursed for hanging on a tree? Ooh, that means that he's not Yahuwah. Chapter 22. Okay, so what is Torah? Torah is learning how to live your life to please Yahuwah and to love your neighbor. Love Yahuwah, love your neighbor. How to treat Yahuwah, how to treat your neighbor. That's all Torah is. How to live your life according to Torah that is pleasing to Yahuwah. When you see your brother's ox or his sheep straying away, you shall not hide yourself from them. Return to them to your brother without fail. In other words, you see your brother's cow got out, and you're watching it walk away from his land. You don't turn around and go back in your house. You go and lay hold on that cow, and you bring it back to your brother and deliver it to him. Because it's the right thing to do. Again, that's what Torah is all about. It's about doing the right thing for your neighbor and for Yahuwah. And if your brother is not near you, or if you do not know him, then you shall bring it to your own house, and it shall be with you until your brother seeks it, and then you shall return it to him. Are you allowed to keep it? No. And so you do with his donkey, and so you do with his garment, so you do with whatever your brother loses, which he has lost and you have found. You are not allowed to hide yourself, and you're not allowed to keep it. Finder's keeper is not a Torah principle. Verse 4, when you see your brother's donkey or his ox fall down on the way, you shall not hide yourself from them. Help him raise them without fail. So again, lend your brother a hand. A woman does not wear that which pertains to a man, nor does a man put on a woman's garment. For whoever does this is an abomination to Yahuwah your Elohim. Does this mean women can't wear pants? No. It means a woman can't wear men's pants. It means a man can't wear a dress. A man can't wear a woman's pants, etc., so on and so forth. Anyone that's doing so is an abomination to Yahuwah. When you come upon a bird's nest along the way, in any tree or on the ground, when young ones or eggs, with the mother sitting on the young one or the eggs, do not take the mother with the young. Let the mother go without fail, and take the young for yourself, so that it might be well with you, and that you prolong your days. When you build a new house, then you shall make a parapet for your roof, so you do not bring blood guilt on your house when one falls from it. But a parapet is a railing or a fence, a small fence barrier that goes around the top of the house. Now, in the Middle East, they typically did a lot on their roofs. They hung out up there, they did things up there. Anyways, so they would put this parapet up there, this little fence, so that nobody can fall over the edge and die. Do not sow your vineyard with different kinds of seed, lest the yield of the seed which you have sown and the fruit of your vineyard be defiled. In other words, when you're sowing seeds, make sure they're pure and not mixed. Do not plow with an ox or a donkey together. Do not put on a garment of different kinds, wool and linen together. Make tassels on the four corners of the garment with which you cover yourself. Okay, so these are all commands that we're supposed to honor here. That's not mixing wool and linen, wearing tzitzits, that's verse 12. When a man takes a wife and shall go in unto her and shall hate her, and then make abusive charges against her and bring an evil name on her and say, I took this woman and when I came to her I did not find her a maiden. Then the father, okay, so notice what it's saying in the first part of this. He laid with her and then he hates her and he's making abusive charges, so that's not true. He's making false charges against her and bringing an evil name on her when it's not true. We'll find that out in the next verse. I took this woman when I came into her, I did not find her a maiden. That's a lie. Then the father and the mother of the young woman shall take and bring out the proof of the girl's maidenhood to the elders of the city of the gate. Okay. Verse 16, and the girl's father shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man as wife, and he hates her. And see, he has made abusive charges against her, saying, I did not find your daughter a maiden, and yet these are the proofs of my daughter's maidenhood. They shall spread the garment before the elders of the city. Okay, so back then when you went into your wife the first time, and she's a virgin, it's going to make her bleed, and the blood would get on the sheet or the blanket and become stained. They would save that and use it, just as this man did, to prove that his daughter was indeed a maiden when that man laid with her. So that's proof that it's a falsehood. And the elders of that city shall take that man and punish him, and fine him 100 pieces of silver, and give them to the father of the young woman, because he has brought an evil name on the maiden of Israel. And she is to be his wife. He is not allowed to put her away all his days. So he stuck with her. Not only that, he had to pay a price for his lies and his treachery. But if the matter is true, now if he's not lying, and the girl was not found a maiden, then they shall bring out that girl to the door of her father's house, and the men of the city shall stone her to death with stones, because she has done wickedness in Israel, to whore in her father's house. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst. Well, now we have a different way to purge the evil from our midst. We don't have to kill them. We don't have to stone them. They can turn from that evil, and they can accept Yahusha and follow Torah. They have forgiveness where they didn't have that before. When a man is found lying with a woman married to a husband, then both of them shall die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. Thus you shall purge evil from Israel. When a girl who is a maiden is engaged to a husband, and a man finds her in the city and lies with her, then you shall bring them both out to the gate of that city and stone them to death with stones. The girl because she did not cry out in the city, and the man because he has humbled his neighbor's wife. Thus you shall purge evil from your midst. But if a man finds the girl who is engaged in the field, and the man takes hold of her and lies with her, then only the man who lay with her shall die. But you shall do no matter to the girl. The girl has no sin worthy of death. For the matter is like a man who rises against his neighbor and murders him, a being. Okay, so this guy in verse 25 was walking through a field, found a lady there, and laid hold of her and laid with her. Well, he basically raped her. He's going to die. That's a death sentence. He who lay with her shall die. But she didn't commit the sin. He committed the sin against her, so she doesn't have a punishment. It says so right here. For he found her in the field, and she cried out, the enraged girl and the engaged girl, but without anyone to save her. So she did cry out. She asked for help. No one was there to save her. So she's innocent. When a man finds a girl who is a maiden, who is not engaged, and he seizes her and lies with her, and they are found out, then the man who lay with her shall give to the girl's father 50 pieces of silver, and she is to be his wife because he has humbled her. He is not allowed to put her away all his days. Man does not take his father's wife, nor uncover his father's skirt. Okay, so what does that mean? Humbled her. He took her virginity. That's what that means. Okay, they humbled the woman. That means they took away her virginity. It was not common practice in the ancient Near East for a man to marry a woman that's already been humbled by another man. Almost always they married a virgin. Very few cases where that wasn't the case. Chapter 23. He who is wounded by crushing of testicles or whose penis is cut off shall not enter into the community of Yahuwah. In other words, they're required to live outside of the camp. A mamzer shall not enter the community of Yahuwah. Even a tenth generation of his shall not enter the community of Yahuwah. So let's look up that word, mamzer. See, Deuteronomy 23, verse 2. All right. A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah. Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah. So that mamzer is another word for bastard. So this verse here tripped me up for quite a while because my mother had me out of wedlock. She was not married to my father. Not only that, she was in an adulterous relationship with him. That makes me a bastard, but that's not what it's talking about, and that's why they use the Hebrew word mamzer here. Mamzer is a stranger or someone outside the faith of Israel. The Israelites were not allowed to marry certain nationalities because they were evil, and we're about to read who those peoples were that they were not, that is considered a mamzer. Okay, so we're going to continue on to verse 3. An Ammonite or a Moabite shall not enter the assembly of Yahuwah. Even a 10th generation of them shall not enter the assembly of Yahuwah. Because, why? Because they did not meet you with bread and water on the way when you came out of Mitzrayim. And because they hired against you Bilam, the son of Beor, from Pethor of Aram, Nahariam, to curse you. But Yahuwah your Elohim refused to listen to Bilam, and Yahuwah your Elohim turned the curse into a blessing for you, because Yahuwah your Elohim loves you. Do not seek their peace, nor their good all your days forever. Do not loathe an Edomite, for he is your brother. Do not loathe the Mitzrayim, because you were a stranger in his land. Okay, a lot of you are breaking that commandment. Do not loathe an Edomite. I hear that all over the internet. People talking about Edomite this and Edomite that. Evil, evil, evil. Well, you just broke Torah. Do not loathe an Edomite. The children of the 3rd generation born to them do enter the assembly of Yahuwah. When the camp goes out against your enemies, then you shall guard yourself from every evil matter. When there is any man among you who is not clean because of an emission in the night, then he shall go outside the camp. Let him not come into the midst of the camp. Why? Why? What is it talking about there? It's talking about ejaculation. So you have a wet dream in the middle of the night and you ejaculate. You're unclean. It just said so. When there is any man among you who is not clean because of an emission in the night, then he shall go outside the camp. He cannot be in. If he didn't leave the camp, Yahuwah's presence wouldn't be in the camp. Do you understand? That's why all unclean people had to leave the camp. Otherwise, Yahuwah wouldn't bring his presence down on the tabernacle. Yahuwah cannot be in the presence of uncleanness and sin. He won't. He just doesn't. So that's why they were sent outside the camp when they had an emission or an ejaculation of semen, because they became unclean ritually, and Abba Yahuwah wouldn't come if they didn't leave the camp. Well, that goes for Shabbat too. Now, this is something that's really hard for me and everybody else to get a hold of, and that is that you should remain clean during Shabbat. The Jews teach improperly that you're supposed to, it's a blessing to have sex during Shabbat. No, it's not. You've just made yourself unclean to Yahuwah. And therefore, during the holiest day of the week, when you're supposed to be set apart to Yahuwah and spending the day with him, he's not there because you're unclean. How does that make any sense? There is precedence in Scripture, I forget the reference, where Yahuwah told the camp, abstain from your wives for 3 days and then come before me. Okay? That's a law, that's a command, that's a rule. So if you want to be in Yahuwah's presence, you have to abstain from sex 3 days, up to 3 days before Shabbat. So that leaves you Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday to have relationships with your wife. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are off limits. Otherwise, you're unclean for Sabbath. It shall be at the approach of evening that he bathes with water, and the sun sets. Let him come into the midst of the camp. And you shall have a place outside the camp where you shall go out. You shall have a sharp implement among your equipment. When you sit down outside, you shall dig with it, and turn and cover your excrement. In other words, bury your poop. Common sense. For Yahuwah your Elohim walks in the midst of your camp. So he's explaining why. Why the people that are unclean have to leave the camp, and why you have to leave the camp and bury your poop outside the camp. Why? Verse 14. For Yahuwah your Elohim walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and give your enemies over to you. Therefore your camp shall be set apart, so that he does not see unclean matter among you and shall turn away from you. Again, if you are unclean, Abba Yahuwah will turn away from you. That is why you have to abstain from sex on Shabbat. You have to remain clean. Do not hand over to his master the slave who has escaped from his master to you. Let him dwell with you in your midst, in the place which he chooses within one of your gates, where it is pleasing to him. Do not oppress him. None of the daughters of Israel is to be a cult prostitute, nor any of the sons of Israel to be a cult prostitute. Those were the ones that would hang out outside the temple or outside the tabernacle and hire themselves out for sex. Do not bring the harlot fee of a whore or the pay of a dog to the house of Yahuwah your Elohim for any vowed offering, for both of these are an abomination to Yahuwah your Elohim. So if you've gained money by a wrong means, by a sinful or evil means, don't you dare bring that money to Yahuwah and offer it to him. He said so right here. It's an abomination. Do not give or present dirty money to Yahuwah. Do not lend at interest to your brother, interest of silver, interest of food, or interest of whatever is lent at interest. So what is he saying here? If I'm lending to someone that's Israel, that's a fellow believer, I'm not supposed to charge interest. And in fact, Scripture says we're not even supposed to expect that money back. If they pay you back, fine. No problem. But we're not supposed to expect them to pay us back. Now, if it's a foreigner, a goyim, a non-believer, that's different. Verse 20, to a foreigner, you lend at interest, but to your brother you do not lend at interest, so that Yahuwah your Elohim might bless you in all that you put your hand to in the land which you are entering to possess. When you make a vow to Yahuwah your Elohim, do not delay to pay it, for Yahuwah your Elohim is certainly requiring it of you, and it shall be sin for you. Ananias and Sapphira in the renewed covenant's a perfect example of that. They sold property and they said they were going to give all of the money for Yahusha's ministry, and they held back some. Well, what happened to those two people? It was considered sin for them, and they were both stoned. They were not stoned, but Abba, Yahuwah struck them dead right there. One at a time, they just fell over dead. But when you abstain from vowing, it is not sin to you. That which is gone from your lips you shall guard and do, for you voluntarily vowed to you your Elohim what you have promised with your mouth. Absolutely do not break your promises to Yahuwah. When in doubt, don't make a vow unless you can uphold it. When you come into your neighbor's vineyard, you shall eat this to the satisfaction of your desire, and do not put any in a receptacle of yours. In other words, you can, if you're walking through the field like Yahusha did, you're allowed to glean from that field. So in other words, you can pick an ear of corn and eat it, and then move on. You're not allowed to pick fruit from the plants and then put it in a basket and carry a basket home. No, the Torah allows for you to eat and obtain substance just for that moment, not to take some with you. When you come to your neighbor's standing grain, you shall pluck the heads with your hand, but do not use the sickle on your neighbor's standing grain. So that's talking about when they've gathered it into bushels. You can pick some off of it, but you can't use a sickle to get yourself more. Deuteronomy chapter 24. When a man takes a wife and shall marry her, then it shall be if she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found a matter of uncoveredness in her, and he shall write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand, and send her out of his house. And if she left his house and went and became another man's wife, and the latter husband shall hate her and write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand, and send her out of his house. When the latter husband who took her to be his wife, then the former husband who sent her away is not allowed to take her back to be his wife after she has been defiled, for that would be an abomination before Yahuwah. And do not bring sin on the land which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. So in other words, if I marry a woman and for whatever reason we get a divorce and I go along with my life, you can't go back and marry her again. You put her away. It's an abomination to Yahuwah. You cannot go back to that woman. You're not allowed to marry her again. It's done. It's finished. Verse 5. When a man has taken a new wife, let him not go out into the army, nor let any matter be imposed upon him. He shall be exempt for 1 year for the sake of his home, to rejoice with his wife whom he has taken. No one takes in a pledge the lower or the upper millstone, for he would be taking a life in pledge. In other words, millstones were so valuable back then, it was as valuable as a human being, is what he's basically saying. So don't take those in pledge for someone's loan or for someone that they borrow. When a man is found kidnapping any of his brothers of the children of Israel and treats him harshly or sells him, then that kidnapper shall die. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst. So what does that tell you? That Joseph's brothers were all worthy of death, every single one of them. Take heed in an outbreak of leprosy to diligently guard and do according to all that the priests, Levites teach you, as I have commanded them, and so shall you guard and do. Remember what Yahuwah your Elohim did to Miriam on the way when you came out of Mitzrayim. What did she do? Verse 9 is telling us to remember that circumstance. Well, what happened with Miriam on the way when we came out of Mitzrayim? She came against Moshe for marrying a black woman, right? He married an Ethiopian black woman, and she was being racist against him. That tells you two things. Number one, Moshe wasn't black, or why would Miriam even care that he married a black woman, right? And it tells you Miriam wasn't black either. So that tells you that the forefathers were not black. I don't care what anyone says. When you lend your brother a loan, do not go into his house to get his pledge. Stand outside and let the man to whom you lend bring the pledge out to you. And if the man is poor, do not sleep with his pledge. By all means, return that pledge to him at sundown. And he shall keep his own garment and shall bless you, and it shall be righteousness before you, to you before Yahuwah your Elohim. In other words, if you're loaning somebody something like money and they're going to give you, say, their coat. They have a really nice coat. I'll give you this coat as a pledge so that you know I'm going to pay you back. Well, if they're poor, we're not supposed to keep the pledge. Say, okay, fine, the code is your pledge, but you give it back to them, and then later on, if they're unable to pay you back, then you proceed from there. Verse 14, do not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy, of your brothers or of your strangers who are in your land within your gates. If you have workers that work for you, you had better take care of them. Because if they cry out to Yahuwah, he may judge you for it, right? You, as their boss, as their boss. In the old days, it was slave owner and slave. Now it's boss and worker. If you have a hired servant, a worker who is poor and needy, of your brothers or of the strangers who are in your land, give him his wages on the same day, and do not let the sun go down on it. For he is poor and lifts up his being into it, so that he does not cry out against you to Yahuwah, and it shall be a sin to you. Okay? So don't withhold your funds from your workers. You've got the money, pay them right away. Otherwise, it's sin to you. Verse 16, fathers are not put to death for their children, and children are not put to death for their fathers, else each is to die for his own sin. Do not twist the right ruling of a stranger or the fatherless, nor take the garment of a widow. But you shall remember that you were a slave in Mitzrayim, and that you, your Elohim, ransomed you from there. Therefore, I am commanding you to do this word. In other words, he's telling us that we were once slaves, so he wants us to treat our workers the way we wanted to be treated when we were in captivity. You want to treat your workers so good that they don't have any desire to be with anyone else or to work for anyone else. When you reap your harvest in your field and have forgotten a sheaf in the field, do not go back to get it. Let it be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow, so that Yahuwah, your Elohim, might bless you in all the work of your hands. And in fact, in other places in Torah, it says that if you have a field, say you have a field of corn, you're supposed to leave the corners, all four corners, you're supposed to leave the four corners for the poor, the widows, the fatherless, and the needy, the strangers. Anybody that needs food is supposed to be able to go there and pluck it. Now, if you don't want people walking through your field, you can harvest it yourself and give it away to the poor. That's what we do. When you beat your olive trees, do not examine the branch behind you. Let it be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. In other words, don't go back and glean it a second time. Leave whatever's left over for the poor people. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, do not glean behind you. Let it be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and the widow. Are you catching a recurring motif here? One of our biggest Torah mandates is to take care of the stranger, the fatherless, the widow, and the poor. That's what Torah is all about. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore, I am commanding you to do this word. Chapter 25. When there is a dispute between men, and they shall come unto judgment, and they shall be judged, and the righteous declared righteous, and the wrongdoer declared wrong. It shall be that if the wrongdoer is to be struck, that the judge shall cause him to lie down and to be struck in his presence with a number of blows according to his wrong. 40 strikes he gives him, but no more, lest he strike him with many more blows than these, and your brother be degraded before your eyes. Do not muzzle an ox while it is threshing. When your brothers dwell together, and one of them has died and has no son, the widow of the dead man shall not become a stranger as outside. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and shall take her as his wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. In other words, he's required to take his brother's wife and to raise a child in his brother's name, to keep his brother's inheritance going. It shall be that the firstborn son which she bears does rise up for the name of his dead brother, so that his name is not blotted out of Israel. Precisely. But if the man does not desire to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate of the elders and say, my husband's brother refuses to raise up a name to his brother in Israel. He does not agree to perform the duty of my husband's brother. The elders of the city shall then call him and speak to them, and they shall stand and say, I have no desire to take her. Then his brother's wife shall come to him in the presence of the elders, remove his sandal from his foot, and shall spit in his face, and swear and say, Thus it is done to the man who does not build up his brother's house. So she's cursing him as according to Scripture, because he's not doing what he's supposed to in building up his brother's house. And in Israel his name shall be called the house of him who had his sandal removed. So that house was permanently blemished for what he did, for not taking his brother's wife. When men fight with one another, a man and his brother and the wife of one shall draw near to rescue her husband from the hand of the one striking him, and shall put out her hand and take hold of him by the genitals. Then you shall cut off her hand. Your eye does not pardon. You shall not have in your bag differing weights, a heavy weight and a light. In other words, you have to have just weights and measures. Don't cheat. You shall not have in your house differing measures, the large and the small. You shall have a perfect and a right weight, a perfect and a right measure, so that they prolong your days on the soil which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. In other words, that's sin. If you have a false weight and you're cheating people, you're going to be judged. For all who do these and all who do unrighteously are an abomination to Yahweh your Elohim. Okay, so anybody that's not following Torah and that is doing these evil things are considered an abomination to Yahweh your Elohim. That includes every Christian out there. Verse 17. Remember what Amalek did to you on the way as you were coming out of Mitzrayim, how he met you on the way and attacked your back, all the feeble ones in your rear, when you were tired and weary, and he did not fear Elohim. Therefore it shall be when Yahweh your Elohim has given you rest from your enemies all around, in the land which Yahweh your Elohim has given you to possess as an inheritance, that you shall blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens. Do not forget. So now we move to the Haftarah, which is the prophets in small writings. That is Isaiah chapter 54. So please turn with me to Isaiah chapter 54. Sing, O barren one, you who did not bear. Break forth into singing and cry aloud, you who have not been in labor. For the children of the deserted one are more than the children of the married woman, says Yahuwah. Okay, so if you're a woman that has not had children and have been barren, not have been blessed with children, your children, the children of the deserted one, are more special and precious than the children of a married woman. Who are their children? They're animals, sometimes adopted children. It's a more special thing when a barren person cares for people, cares for children. Enlarge the place of your tent and let them stretch out the curtains of your dwellings. Spare not, lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes. For ye shall break forth to the right and to the left, and your seed inherit the nations, and make the deserted cities inhabited. Do not fear, for you shall not be put to shame, nor hurt, you shall not be humiliated. For the shame of your youth you shall forget, and not remember the reproach of your widowhood any more. For your Maker is your husband, Yahweh of hosts is his name, and the set apart one of Israel is your Redeemer. He is called the Elohim of all the earth. For Yahweh has called you like a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, like a wife of youth when you were refused, declares your Elohim. For a little while I have forsaken you, but with great compassion I shall gather you. In an overflow of wrath I hid my face from you for a moment, but with everlasting loving commitment I shall have compassion on you, says Yahuwah your Redeemer. For this is the waters of Noah to me, that in that I have sworn that the waters of Noah would never again cover the earth, so that I have sworn not to be wroth with you, nor rebuke you. For though the mountains be removed and the hills be shaken, my loving commitment is not removed from you, nor is my covenant of peace shaken, says Yahuwah, who has compassion on you. O you afflicted one, tossed with the storm and not comforted, see, I am setting your stones in antimony, and shall lay your foundations with sapphires, and shall make your battlements of rubies, your gates of crystals, and your walls of precious stones, and all your children taught by Yahuwah, and the peace of your children great. In righteousness you shall be established, far from oppression. For you shall not fear, and far from ruin, for it does not come near you. See, they shall indeed assemble, but not because of me. Whoever shall assemble against you falls for your sake. See, I myself have created the blacksmith who blows the coals in the fire, who brings forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall prove wrong. This is the inheritance of the servants of Yahuwah, and their righteousness from me, declares Yahuwah. So if you're downtrodden, if you're in adversity, and there's constant chaos around you, Isaiah chapter 54 is for you. He is faithful, and he is loving, and he will bring you out of what you're going through. To the gospel, we're reading Matthew chapter 24. Now, I'm not going to comment on everything in this chapter because there's too much. It would take me over an hour just to read this chapter because it's so full of meat, but I'll make comments where I believe it's appropriate. The book of the genealogy of Yahushua, Messiah, son of David, son of Abraham. Okay, pause right there. Kingdom inheritance in the Middle East, in the Hebrew governance, is through the Father. Okay? Kingdom inheritance is through the Father, not through the mother. So Yahushua has to have DNA from David on his father's side, Joseph's side, in order to inherit the kingdom, in order to sit upon the throne of David. He has to be related on his father's side to King David and to Abraham. So we know for a fact, because of that, that when Abba Yahuwah impregnated Mary with his Ruach HaKodesh, he had to have taken DNA from Joseph. He had to have, because otherwise he doesn't have right to the throne of David. Abraham brought forth Yitzhak, and Yitzhak brought forth Yaakov, and Yaakov brought forth Yehuda and his brothers, and Yehuda brought forth Peretz and Zerah by Tamar, and Peretz brought forth Hetzron, and Hetzron brought forth Ram. Ram brought forth Aminadab, and Aminadab brought forth Nahshon, and Nahshon brought forth Salmon. Salmon brought forth Boaz by Rahab, and Boaz brought forth Obed by Ruth, and Obed brought forth Yishai. And Yishai brought forth David the sovereign, and David the sovereign brought forth Shalomo by Uriah's wife. And Shalomo brought forth Rehabam, and Rehabam brought forth Abiah, and Abiah brought forth Asa. And Asa brought forth Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat brought forth Joram. Joram brought forth Uzziah, and Uzziah brought forth Jotham. Jotham brought forth Ahaz, and Ahaz brought forth Hizkiyahu. And Hizkiyahu brought forth Manasseh, and Manasseh brought forth Ammon, and Ammon brought forth Yoshiyahu. And Yoshiyahu brought forth Jeconiah and his brothers at the time of the exile to Babel. And after the exile to Babel, Jeconiah brought forth Shealtiel, and Shealtiel brought forth Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel brought forth Abihud, and Abihud brought forth Abner, and Abner brought forth Eliakim, and Eliakim brought forth Azor, and Azor brought forth Zadok, and Zadok brought forth Akim, and Akim brought forth Elihud, and Elihud brought forth Eleazar, and Eleazar brought forth Matan, and Matan brought forth Yaakov, and Yaakov brought forth Yosef, the husband of Miriam, of whom was born Yahushua, who is called Messiah. You'll notice two things in that big long list. Not one female was mentioned, which proves that the inheritance comes through the father, not the mother. Okay? And Yaakov brought forth Joseph, the husband of Miriam, of whom was born Yahushua, who is called Messiah. So it said he is the son of David and Abraham. Then it listed all the male patriarchs in his family that came before him up through David, right? And all the way through Joseph. So that, again, proves that not only does Yahushua have the DNA of Joseph somewhere, somehow, by the Ruach HaKodesh, it has to be, but he would not be able to assume the throne of David without it. So all the generations from Abraham to David were 14 generations, and from David into the exile to Babel were 14 generations, from the exile to Babel into the Messiah were 14 generations. But the birth of Yahushua Messiah was as follows. After his mother Miriam was engaged to Joseph, okay, so let's look at this little piece here in detail. After his mother Miriam was engaged to Joseph, okay, so they were engaged, and again, typically in the Middle East, in Yahushua's time, if a woman was not a virgin, men did not engage them. They did not take them as a fiancé to marry them. It happened, but it was very rare. So we have here that it doesn't say she was a virgin, but it says that she was engaged to Joseph. Before they came together, that's important right there. So but the birth of Yahushua Messiah was as follows. After his mother Miriam was engaged to Joseph, before they came together, okay, so they had not had sex yet. They just got engaged and they had not had sex. Before they came together, she was found to be pregnant from the set-apart spirit. That tells me she had to have been a virgin. She had to have been. They never laid together, and she was found pregnant from the set-apart spirit before they even got married, before they had sex. And Joseph, her husband, being righteous and not wishing to make a show of her, had in mind to put her away secretly. So he was going to divorce her, but he was going to do it secretly so as not to embarrass her. But while he thought about this, see, a messenger of Yahuwah appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Miriam as your wife, for that which is in her is brought forth from the set-apart spirit. So did they have sex? Nope. It was brought forth from the set-apart spirit. It was a miracle. And she shall give birth to a son, and you shall call his name Yahushua, for he shall save his people from their sins. And all this came to be in order to fulfill what was spoken by Yahuwah through the prophet, saying, see, an Alma shall conceive. What's an Alma? Well, it's commonly translated as virgin, but it just means a young maiden. Well, what were all young maidens in Yahushua's time? They were virgins. So it means the same thing. See, an Alma shall conceive, and she shall give birth to a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel, which translated means El with us. Now, so then why wasn't Yahushua called Emmanuel? Why was he called Yahushua? Because that prophecy in Isaiah 7 through 11, or 7 through 14, excuse me. Isaiah 7 through 14, I believe. Anyways, it is about a real person named Emmanuel. All of that came to pass. It is a foreshadowing of the office of Yahushua, of Messiah. So it's indirectly about him, but it was already fulfilled. And Joseph, awaking from his sleep, did as the messenger of Yahuwah commanded him and took his wife. But he knew her not until she gave birth to her son, the firstborn, and called his name Yahushua. So again, they did not have sex. Not until after Yahushua was born. Then they fulfilled their marital vows, and then Yahushua had brothers and sisters. I guess that was Matthew chapter 1. I accidentally read the wrong chapter, so we're going to just stick with that today because it's getting late. We've already been going pretty long here. I was going to go over my walking in Torah daily readings. What I'm going to do is wait until next week, and then we'll read days 1 through 7. And then we'll just keep doing that each week. We'll read the previous 7 days and learn about how all throughout the renewed covenant, from Matthew to Revelations, over and over and over again, our guidance is to keep Torah and to keep the commandments. Again, I hope this service blessed you. I hope you got something from it, learned something you didn't know. I appreciate everyone that came out here and spent this time with us. Everyone that watches the video. We're going to do the Aaronic benediction now, and then I will release you until next week. Yivarekeka Yahuwah Vayish Mereka Yael Yahuwah Panav Veleka Vikuneka Yisa Yahuwah Panav Veleka V'yasem leka Shalom. B'Shem Yahusha HaMashiach Sarha Shalom Shalom. May Yahuwah bless you and keep you. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. In the name of Yahushua the Messiah, the Prince of Peace, Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shavua Tav, Shalom and love from Scriptural Foundations. Have a good week.